In the first video of the limited series, we talked about why Arknights growing is going to benefit most of us within the game. And then afterwards, in the second video, we expanded to even bigger and deeper topics to explore the revenue that Arknights CN has been gaining over the past few months, analyzing the peaks and the dips of all the banner revenues to explain how those trends describe the players' behaviors during those points in time. And then we also talked about how free-to-play is not the ultimate focus of the game, because at the end of the day, for a company to survive, profits are still the most important, so free-to-play will not be the utmost priority of theirs. And then I ended off that second video to talk about how it's a matter of balancing everyone's needs and wants, whether it's the companies or the players, to ensure that everyone is happy while they play the game all together. So now in the third video, we are going to look at how we players feel towards limited banners, whether we like it, whether we don't like it, what are the reasons for it. And then we end off with talking about how I think Hypergryph could be improving on the limited banner experience for everyone. Not just us players to be happier about pulling limited operators, but also for themselves, because they have to earn money at the end of the day. So strap on, buckle up, because this is going to be quite a heavy video to go through altogether. This is the finale of the limited series after all, so that's all the things that I want to cover as far as possible within this one video. Now, if you haven't watched the previous videos of this limited series yet, I do recommend that you get started on the first video and then the second video, because concepts and things that I've explained in the previous one will be brought back into here again. So it will be nice if you watch those previous ones first and then finish off with this one at the end. So this is going to be a continuation of the second video where we were talking about the banner revenues of the Arknights CN. At that point in time, quite a lot of you were saying that you're curious to see like how EN is performing, and then how about the banners that came after Skadi the Corrupting Heart, whether there was an increase or a decrease, what was the behavior like. So after many days of collection of data, I have new data to show you guys in this video to show you both the CN revenue all the way up until Far Tooth, so right before No Altar, and I'll also be showing you the revenue for the global side of Arknights to show you guys a comparison between the two markets altogether. So let me start off with the CN revenue to show you guys first. I won't be over-analyzing it because we talked so much about it in the previous point in time, but if we look at the extended trend over here, after what we see from Skadi the Corrupting Heart, it is very clear that the revenue has been dropping quite a fair bit, and afterwards there's another limited banner that arrived, which was Chen Alter and Mizuki. If you look at this limited banner compared to the previous ones, it is doing worse than the Rosmontis and Mudrock banner, but it was performing better than the Dusk and Saga one, which goes to show that it's kind of like in the middle ground of whether people actually were okay with the banner or not so okay with it. I will talk more about Chen Alter later on within this video, because this video is titled The Nightmare of Limited Banners after all. But I'm just showing you guys the extended trend so that you guys can interpret it however you want to come to your own conclusions as to what you think this is supposed to mean for the state of the game. Now, the next graph I'm going to show you guys is the global revenue for Arknights EN. There is a strong difference between this particular graph and the previous graph. The previous graph was charted in a way where the y-axis is million USD. So like the highest peak of the banner is almost at like 70 million USD. This particular global graph is not charted in million USD, but rather by 1000 USD. So the idea here is that if you look at the top of the graph, Skadi is close to like 10 million USD. If you do like 10,000 multiplied by 1,000 is 10 million. If you go down to 5,000, that's like 5 million USD. 7,500 is 7.5 million USD, and 2,500 is 2.5 million USD. Now, the difference between this graph and the previous one also is that in CN, they often do one banner per month. That's why it's split very nicely such that every particular bar is like one operator being shown. But for the EN side, the data is not done in a way where it's banner specific, but rather it's month specific. So you'll see some of the graphs combining some of the additional operators all together. Like for example, Kyobi and Nien are together, and then afterwards you have Dusk and Ash also put together in one to produce that particular bar. Now, you can analyze this graph however that you want. I've already talked about how to read the graphs in the previous videos. The only interesting stuff that I would put is how it's interesting that Blaze is one of the most popularly put character within the game, with higher earnings than Mudrock and Rosmontis, higher earnings than W and Weedy, and even higher earnings than Skadi the Corrupting Heart. Now that's a surprising thing that I also have to put, that in CN, Skadi the Corrupting Heart and Kelsit were the highest earnings that they've earned for a very long time within the game. But for us, Skadi the Corrupting Heart is the worst performing limited banner right now, which is kind of iffy that that's how it went. I don't think it's the worst performing limited banner because it's a little unfair. There's that one bar that is made up with Ash and Dusk, which if you split the bar into two, then it will make it that those two banners actually earn worse than Skadi the Corrupting Heart. But it still tells us something that Skadi the Corrupting Heart isn't performing as well as W and Rosmontis, for instance. I think the idea of clairvoyance in the game has really hurt the market to the point where so many people went crazy saving, so there wasn't really a need to spend within the game anymore, and the profits is just lower on our side. So that's just how it works on our end. Hi there. I interrupt this video over here just to put one last point across because this is something I didn't talk about when I was filming this video. Now, the very strong likely reason why Blaze is one of the most popularly pulled characters in the game during that particular month is possibly because those were the peaks of Arknights. What I mean by that is that was the period of time where a lot of Arknights content creators, some of the old ones that some of you may know, were still within the game, and Blaze was someone that was heavily promoted during those point in times. Content creators can really influence the spending of the players, and they are also the ones to help to retain the people within the community. So with them being away and leaving the game, it is very likely that impacted all of the spendings that came after that once many people leave the game for bigger things and better things, like for instance playing Genshin Impact instead of playing Arknights. So that is kind of the way to explain the little trend that you see there of Blaze being abnormally higher than even some of the limited banners. Anyways, back to the video. Because we're talking about revenue right now, I'm going to take this time to refute a particular comment that came in with my community post quite a few days ago, where there was a particular commentator who stated that, if the revenues are dipping clearly from the CN side and the EN side, doesn't that just immediately tells us that the game is dying and eventually we're going to see the servers go out or the game just end itself? Okay, the thing that to note here, it is true. The data shows that the revenues are dipping down and down. But a revenue dipping down and down doesn't mean that the game is dying or the company is failing itself. Like what I said in the previous video, a company needs money to survive, and we don't know how much they actually need to survive within a month. It could be $1 million, it could be $2 million, it could be $10 million, in order to maintain their servers, to do up all the projects that they are undertaking and whatnot. And therefore, at that point in time, I highlighted that it is perfectly fine for us to be giving money into the game as long as we are supporting of it and we want their projects to be even bigger and better as a sign of appreciation of their hard work that they put into the game. Now, some people then commented back at me and stated that it's foolish of me to think that these companies are so nice and we have to give money to them because they're a gacha game after all. And gacha games are very predatory. It's all about drawing your money so that you keep wanting to pour money in to play that lottery game of which character do you get. I get the view that gacha games can be very dangerous and it gets people to want to spend unnecessarily. I'll highlight these comments in a little bit, but back to the point about the game dying and whatsoever. It's exactly the fact that we don't know where is the line that they need in order to survive that we can't really tell whether the game is actually doing badly or not. You see, if I say that the game only needs $1 million to survive every month, then if we draw a line like $1 million line on the EN graph, then it goes to say that every month they're actually doing well. They're earning way more than what they need as a company, and therefore the game will continue to run and run. Yeah, sure, dipping revenue is a thing, but as long as the revenue is always higher than what they need, then the game is still gonna operate. When does the game drop is when the revenue actually falls below that line. But wherever this line is, are we hitting there yet? I don't think so. I think we're doing especially well. And it is a thing that if a game is finding it difficult to keep up with their production and then the amount of money they're earning is not following in par with it, then instead of closing the game, they just cut costs. They just cut costs on their end, try to spend less money on producing every single thing, while still ensuring as high of a quality of course, and the game can still run. So is Arknights dying as a game? Hell no! It is one of the biggest gacha games that's within China right now, and it's also a pretty massive gacha game in the global side. It's not as big as some of the other gacha games that we might name, but it is sizable enough to the point that it can grow. I mean, the fact that Arknights managed to collaborate with a major rhythm game market like Citus, one of the largest mobile rhythm game ever, it takes a tall order, and in the far future I would expect Arknights to actually collaborate with even more people. Maybe they collaborate with an anime, maybe they collaborate with even more gacha games. We don't know. The possibilities are endless. And why is that so? they're earning good enough money. They're able to promote their game even harder, market their game even harder to other places so that more people know about Arknights. So to whoever that commented and said that you're good at data analysis and you're telling the whole world that AK is dying as a game because there's so many limited banners, I think you need to study a little bit on the data trends that you claim that you know very well. Because you see, there's also one more point that I want to put. A game dying doesn't have to be related to them earning less money. Is it a bad thing that the game is earning less money? To a particular game developer, the success of a game doesn't have to do with the revenue. It could also do with the amount of players that's in the game. If you have 100,000 people paying a lot of money all each, compared to say 2 million people that are paying very little money, but then they're still making like the same amount of cash. It really depends on the company at the end of the day. Because to certain companies, having more players could be better than, earning more money. Like, by having more players, it helps to bring about more publicity in the game. And then afterwards, with more people knowing about the game, there is the likelihood of luring people who want to pay for the game. And it's all in all a win-win effect that it's going to do the game very well. I think right now Arknights is thriving and Arknights is doing super well as a gacha game. There are many factors that is reinforcing for me that this game has a long runway ahead. It can at least survive for another year. That is what I'll put. Like another good year, it is for certain. Beyond that, I don't know what will happen. But for sure, this game is performing extremely well. They are taking care so much of their players that I will talk about it in like another video. There's another video that I intend to make that is about how Hypergryph really loves us as players. But that's not for today. That's for another time. Alright, so that's enough with revenue discussions and commenting towards this kind of view that people are having right now. Let's talk about how we feel towards limited banners. So, the first discussion point that I want to make is, do we like limited banners? Because I know a lot of people say they don't, like even I don't, but we have to understand the party of people who actually like limited banners, or some of the reasons that we actually enjoy having in the game. So, to me, limited banners are a very exclusive thing. There's limited operators you can get only within this banner duration of time. And then afterwards, you cannot get these operators again until a long extended period of time of about a year where they can rerun the operators and you have a shot at getting them again. So that gives you that sort of fear of missing out and it makes you want to pull very badly within those banners. To some people, limited operators are joy. Why is it a joy? Because it's a gacha game. People feel good when they receive something that's exclusive, something that not everyone owns. It's kind of like being a collectionist, when you buy a limited edition set, a limited edition figurine, a limited edition kind of like item that you got. This makes you feel like, wow, I'm better than the other players and that I took the effort to work hard to get this person that not everybody has. So I understand that feeling that some people enjoy limited banners because it's like getting something that other people don't own. It sounds like an asshole move when owning something that not everyone has. But it's just the way that it is. Like, this is the player's behavior at the end of the day. People love it when they have exclusive skins that other people don't have. In other games like mobile games, when you have like an elite skin, you have a rare skin that people don't often get, it makes you feel like, okay, I look like the better player now. It's a sense of pride, I suppose, that it gives people for limited banners. So that's kind of a strong reason why gacha games even implement such a system of limited banners. The other reason for limited banners is that it is probably the most hyped period of time within the game. No doubt in many of the previous Arknights live stream that we have experienced, it's always been this hyped up time. It's the most craziest time that everyone goes wow and like gets excited over playing an event, getting all the rewards, experiencing maybe some new gameplay mechanics and whatsoever. The fact that it provides so much activity in the game, it warrants that need to keep up with doing these well-crafted limited banners that people can actually enjoy to play. I remember when I did a live stream to watch like the CN live stream for their half anniversary, the JP live stream for the Skadi Outer appearing. That was the craziest point in time that I've had on my Twitch. In fact, more than 1,000 of you were watching me on my streams on those many few days just to enjoy the festivities together. And it's clear cut, like nowadays if I stream Arknights, I'd be hovering around like 200 viewers on the stream watching me at once. But reminiscing to those times where I got like 1,000 because of this huge occasion, it's crazy. It goes to show that a lot of people care about limited banners the most. They feel the most involved in the game during those points in time. So therefore, do people like limited banners? Well, some of us don't like it, but there is the point that to some people, they do actually enjoy it. And it's also come to a point where it looks like it's a need rather than it's something that we should just cancel in the game. At this point, if Arknights just closes limited banners, the game will lose its charm very badly because it's just become that sort of like feeding, we are used to it and it needs to be something that's kept up continuously happening within the game. But however much that we say about the good of limited banners have caused damage to the game. Like damage to the game, damage to the community. And there's a few reasons that I state this. The first reason is something that I've already stated in the previous video, that free-to-plays feel like they're always losing out whenever limited banners happen. Free-to-plays are the ones that they don't pay money in the game. And whenever there's so much limited banners that occurs in the game, it makes them feel like, wow, I can never get all of these characters that I want. And the thing is, it is true that you can't get everything that you possibly want to get in a gacha game. This is a gacha game after all, as I stated also in the previous video, that as a free-to-play, you're not expected to get everyone. And the idea of pushing more limited banners is so that they can, well, we won't use the word force, but it's in a way to encourage people to spend so that they can get more revenue from people. It can look like greed when they push so much limited banners, but it's not really all that bad when you consider the generosity that the game gives in terms of the amount of free pools that they give, in terms of the probability of getting a 6-star, and there's just so many ways to get free pools and orandums within this game. So free-to-play can feel like they're on the losing end of limited banners, but of course while I state that they don't have to get everything, there's no denying. It's created an angry group of people that these people don't really like it. They wish there were better systems and ways to benefit their own free-to-play playstyle that they have. And that's something that I think Hypergryph will eventually need to slowly address to figure out how to compromise between the company's needs and the players' wants, which is what we're going to mention about later on. Now, free-to-plays are one group of people who are sad about, losing the stuff in the game. There's an even bigger group that I empathize for, that I find that this group are really the most hurt when it comes to limited banners, which are what I call the losers of limited banners. These are the people who spend on limited banners, and yet, after spending what they feel is a lot of money, they don't get the limiter operator. Now, if you're spending only on like a monthly card, you're probably not in that spectrum, because while monthly card gives you a lot of pools, but it's not huge to the point of people who whale like a lot of orandum, a lot of monthly hate hunting just to save out their pools. There are people who spend hundreds of dollars in order to get the operators that they want, and there are some that just don't get it within the 300 pools and they have to spark for the operator that they want. Now, don't even talk about limited operators. Even for normal operators, some people find it difficult to get the operators they want. I remember hearing about someone who didn't get Surtur in 300 pools, in 400 pools, and stuff like that happens in the game, There are people who are dead unlucky, they spend so much, and then afterwards they don't get what they want. And these people can get very hurt by the game, because then afterwards they'll be thinking to themselves, what am I paying for the game for if I don't get the people that I want immediately? And to me, this is the group of people that Hypergryph really needs to look at to see how they can manage the players' feelings. Because if people don't get the operators they want, some people will just, leave the game. And leaving the game is not nice. It's not a good thing for the company at all. At best, they will want to try to keep as many people within the game as possible. But both the people who don't pay and pay for the game and don't get the operators, they're just gonna get tempted to leave. So to me, these are the direct groups of people who get very emotionally affected by the game. Now, there is one more damage that I feel that limited banners do that affects everyone in the game, which this is probably the most serious one of them all. That is, limited banners causes a deprivation of the value of other banners in the game. By deprivation, I mean it reduces the seeming worth of a banner that is not limited. It is very apparent. I mean, if you look at the revenue, all the limited banner revenues are often high, and then all the other revenues are low. Because there's this problematic syndrome that is created. Because limited banners exist, people feel obliged to save for limited banners. And then they go along saying oh, I'll skip this banner, I'll skip this banner. And yet, there are so many good banners between the limited banners. Like there's a Mountain, there's Taunts, there's Surtur, there's Unectors, there's Remishine. These are not limited operators, but they're very strong on their own rights. Limited operators don't exceed normal operators in strength. Most of the time, because Chen Outer exists. But that's where there's this huge issue that other operators are seen as less valuable, less needed, because of limited banners. And I think this is very bad of a player behavior that gacha games should be appreciated for just every single character that they bring into the game. Artists work really hard to produce these beautiful characters that people can pull for. And game designers work hard on creating wonderful skills, utility that people can get for having these operators on hand. There's so much effort that's put into these, but yet people just look at, oh, this character is limited, therefore I just eye on that. You know, I don't need anything else, just the limited operator, that's all that matters, since not everyone can get it. So this is a damage that I find that's the most hurting in the game right now, and it's not going to be easy to address. I feel like this is a mindset problem that the players need to try to adapt to, but with more limited banners that Hypergryph do, it is just no wonder that it's going to reinforce people to feel that limited banners are the most important in the game. So these are all the damages that I find that limited banners are creating on us. Now, there are some great current measures that Hypergryph takes to improve the experience of limited banners. For one, the number of free pulls that they do in every limited banner is almost always beyond 50 pulls. If you convert the OP to pulls, that is, from the ones that you gain in the event. Now, every single event up to this point has always given about 40 to 50 pulls, and that's enough for you to get at least one 6-star from the limited banner. And that also means that, you know, there's a good chance that you get either the limited operator or the other one that's on the banner. And I think in terms of the generosity of giving so many pulls, Arknights got a fine balance. I know there are people who talk about other gacha games and be like, oh, look at this gacha game. There's a limited banner, they give 200 pulls, they give 100 pulls. But it's gonna get boring when you have a game that gives you so many pulls and you don't manage much of the pulls for yourself in order to get that gacha experience. If someone just gives you 1000 pulls in the game, it's not a gacha game anymore. You get what I mean? There's no more draw of the luck that you have to do to get the operators that you want. If a game just keeps giving massive amount of free pulls, people are gonna get bored of it freaking easily. Like, to some of us, I know, we want all the characters on our stash so that we can play with as many things as possible. And that's even for myself. Like, I wish I can get everyone and I can play with everyone that I want. But I don't disagree that if I have everyone that I want right at the first second of the game, I'm easily gonna get bored. Like, I will just drop dead, because you may not feel it now, but if it actually happens, it will affect quite a few of your game experience. So the number of free pulls that AK give is so much, and it's to the point of what I consider as enough. This is that balanced number to ensure that people are still managing their own pools to deal with the scarcity of pools and try their luck to get the operators they want, and at the same time doing it a lot enough to make players appreciate the company for what they do. So this is the good thing that they are doing, but then again, there are players who are not happy with the number of free pools and feel that they should be giving more than 50. They should give 100, they should give 200. And is that really the way to go? That shall be what we see later on. Another system that they do in the game right now is the spark system. And the spark system has this idea where every time you pull in a banner, a limited banner that is, you will be getting like a little token that you can hold during the event. And if you hold 75, you can use it to pull a 5-star within the banner. Or if you hold 300, you can pull a 6-star that's within the banner. And 300 means 300 pulls. 300 pulls is a freak load of pulls. It's a really devastatingly a lot of pulls, not just for free to play. It's also for pay to play. And it's because of that despite the spark system looking like something to help players to get the operators they want, but it's not. It's very clear that it's set at a high bar so that it convinces as many people as possible to pay money in case they need to actually reach the spark to get the characters that they want. But more often players are not inclined to pay that money. They just don't like the fact that it's 300. 300 just looks like too much for people. And that's why there's always this outcry, both on the CN side and the EN side, to lower the spark count so that it actually accommodates for like the amount that usually pay to play are even comfortable to pay to get the operators that they want, that is. So what seems like something to help the system ended up being something that got people upset, I suppose. To me, 300, I can't really say I think it's good enough or not good enough. I do just feel that limited banners are an issue at the end of the day. So, oh well, we'll speak more about that later again. And the last thing that they do to help the limited banner experience is that they do rerun limited operators, with the probable exception of collaboration operator, that being the R6S event. We don't know if Rainbow Six Siege will ever rerun. It might not. Only time will tell. But For all the other operators that Arknights released by themselves, they will all experience a rerun. In fact, for the operators that are released during anniversary and half anniversary, they will rerun every of those half anniversary and anniversary once a year of their release has been hit. So for example, W is released for a year in the game. It's supposed to be a year, but for EN it's cut short to 9 months. Once an operator has hit a year mark, then they will be released within the banner to be like a off-rate higher chance operator that's within there. Now the percentage chance of getting a limited operator is 35%. Since there's 2 6 stars, both of them total up to 70, and then one of them is 35%. If you're talking about the additional limited operator that appears, for example W, she has a drop rate of 4%. That being that if you pull a 6 star within the limited banner, there's a 1 in 25 chance that it is actually like a W, for instance. To me, the 4% chance is not bad. It's actually quite a decent amount. I've heard stories from people who got W in the Skadi the Corrupting Heart banner as an off-rate 6 star that they got. So to me, they have put a certain balance to it to ensure that people still have a chance to get limited operators. But 4% is still pretty small. So quite a lot of the time, people actually have to resort to the 300 pools if they want to get a limited operator that they missed before. And that's very expensive if you think about it. For new players who never played Arknights before, people who just joined the game, and then they hear that there's like 5-6 limited banners that occurred in the game, this number of limited operators they miss, and then they additionally hear about how they need 300 pools per limited operators. All these new players are gonna sit there and go like, what the fuck am I supposed to do? Like, how am I supposed to get everyone that's within the game right now? So it's very overwhelming when they keep doing so many of these new operators and limited operators, and this is very intimidating for people who just joined the game. Hypergryph needs to do something about it. They're trying with the current systems they have, but I think there needs to be improvement in order to make it even better for everyone. So this is for the back part of the video that we are going to talk about. I'm going to interject in this video to talk about Chen Outer and Nearl Outer. Over the past few many days, I've seen so many people arguing about how they want Chen Outer and how they don't want Chen Outer, and then it leaves so many people in confusion to those who don't even know the story of why Chen Outer is, not as appreciated. And then it also turns some people into Chen Outer White Knights, like defending crazy out of her, saying that she's a must pull and whatsoever. It is freaking annoying, right? It doesn't improve a game experience. I don't know why players are finding fun to do this. It's not fun. Just have fun, don't argue about anything. But let's get it clear. What is the hot take on these two operators? If you don't know anything about the Chen Outer controversy, I've made a video about it before explaining why CN got really upset with Chen Outer, and apparently it seemed to have translated into the EN community as well. Now, to briefly summarize why Chen Outer is not very appreciated, for one, Chen Outer's lore is not impressive. It is, after all, a lore that is derived from the fact that she went for this summer holiday and then somehow she got the water gun that she owns. And at the same time, water gun as a weapon feels a little bit funny. I mean, we have funny weapons in the game already, like how Myrtle has a flag, Gumi has a frying pan, and then now Chen Outer has a gun. Like, we've had these kind of funny stuff before, but to quite a few people, a water gun doesn't seem to make sense as a crazy strong weapon that's to be within the game. The design of Chen Outer was also an issue. I know some people really love it, alright? You horny people just getting crazy over a operator just because they wear some swimsuit skin and then turning a blind eye and be like, oh, okay, this operator is great because look at that, her boobas are showing out. Like, come on, get things right. Yes, the swimsuit thing can look cheap to some people, but there was that whole fundamental problem of, the face and the whole hair design looking similar to another operator that was Blaze. I know some people don't think it's similar, but it's fine if you think that the design was accurate and whatnot. The point to make is there is a large group of people who were not happy with the design. And it has never happened in other operators before. Chen Outer is the first operator that got so many people complaining about the design of an operator. It's not just that. So as I said about the water gun, this feels like a limited banner that has an operator with a high strength that this overly raises that fear of missing out. Like, oh my goodness, this limited operator for the first time is crazy strong. It's even stronger than W, even stronger than Nian, even stronger than Ash. This is like a must get. So I guess so many people frustrated, that they have to pull for an operator because it seems like a necessity to own someone that is very strong in the game. These final 3 reasons will not apply to us in EN because these were very strong reasons that caused it to be such a huge ruckus on the CN side. First of all, the timing of the banner was very awkward. No one saw it coming that the limited banner on Chen Outer was going to happen. It was a summer festival. People thought it was just going to be another Obsidian festival kind of thing. But somehow Arknights branded it to be a huge grand event to contain a limited banner. If you haven't got that understanding of why the timing is so awkward on CN yet, it's kind of clear cut now why they did it. They did it so that this whole summer event becomes anniversary for us in EN. That is now the finally realized purpose as to why they're doing the things that they did. But for CN in the past, they wouldn't be able to tell this. Not everyone is able to sense that, maybe they did Chen Outer because they're gonna shift the events around in EN to make sure that they follow the CN timeline, do Skadi the Corrupting Heart in October, and then do Chen Outer in January. Now we get it. But again, this caused a lot of anger at that point in time. And there was huge lack of communication from the staff. There was so much design problems. There was even a problem about a pack not containing the OP that is needed. So many things caused a conflict between the players and the staff, but yet the staff chose to keep quiet about the entire situation. And it got more players to be frustrated to the point that it became an online forum riot. And it was uncontrolled. So everything just went down in flames basically for Chen Outer. It was very, very messy of a banner. And I guess that is probably the reason why it rippled down into EN to make people feel the way that they do now. But at the same time, I don't think the current feelings that EN is feeling is warranted. I think it's a little too far because we're making it sound like we're the ones that got the most pain and the most damage, when in fact, CN took most of the brunt of it. We already know that Chen Outer is coming, and it's perfectly fine if she's strong or busted and whatnot. You have all the time to prepare. If you don't want her, then don't get her. If you want her, then just go pull her. No one's gonna stop you from what you're doing. I'm gonna talk more about this in a bit. Let me compare Nearl Outer to Chen Outer, because some people told me that you guys want some updates as to how CN is feeling about limited banners right now. In fact, Nearl Outer is actually much more appreciated in CN compared to Chen Outer. There's not much online controversy this time. A lot of people took the events wholly, and actually they appreciated the event design. Like, it's probably one of the favorite events that I think a lot of people have experienced. Because, for one, the story is so in-depth. If you've not seen the animated PV for the Nearl event, you should give it a watch. It's one of the best animation that I've seen coming from Hypergryph in a long while. For one, lore is great. Secondly, design of Nearl Outer is very grand. It's so beautiful, you can clearly tell a lot of hard work was put into this in order to make sure that she shines as the operator that she is. She's got a decent kit as well for Nearl Outer. It's not overpowered. I don't know why a lot of people think that Nearl Outer will be a new meta. I don't think she's going to be a new meta at all. She is very strong, but I don't think she's crazy strong to the point that everyone needs to own her. There's better expected timing for the Nearl Outer banner this time. It is a half anniversary after all. So players are expecting a limited banner to happen, so there's nothing to outrage about, oh, why are you doing a limited banner now? Because everyone knows it's going to happen. And at the same time, the livestream for Nearl compared to the summer Dossless holiday livestream, I think there was a better and bigger quality to really send the event off on a good note. So Nearl Outer is easily more appreciated than Chen Outer, and I guess it goes to show that if Hypergryph wants to do limited banners more, they need to work very hard to produce good quality work all around. From the design, the skill sets, the event quality, the enemy mechanics, the rewards that they give to people, all these mini little things. When they work hard to fine-tune it and cater it to the players, then players can then say, hey, we see that you put a hard work in it. Therefore, we want to support you. We will pay during this limited banner that we're experiencing. And so now I'm going to bring it back down to Chen Outer, because we're going to experience it soon in EN anyways. To those of you arguing about Chen Outer, whether you want it or you don't want it, please stop wasting your time. If you don't want Chen Outer, leave it as that. You don't have to influence other people to not pull Chen Outer. Because is their game going to affect your game? No. Is your game going to affect their game? No. We play our own game at the end of the day. It's your own account. You think that Chen Outer tarnishes your account? That's just on you. Is it going to tarnish another person's account? No. If they really want it, they find it to be important, that's for them. If you're someone who wants Chen Outer, Don't go telling people they have to pull Chen Outer. It's perfectly fine that they don't pull Chen Outer. At the end of the day, it's just to each their own. It's just your own experience. Do what you want. Alright? There's no need to riot to tell people that they are bad at the game if they don't put Chen Outer. You don't have to tell people, oh, they're being meta slaves for being a Chen Outer owner. Whatever. You just play your own damn shit, alright? We are a community that's supposed to be better than other gacha games. Don't fall down to the dark depths of being something that people ridicule. We've established a good reputation, and I don't want people to be dumb by scaring off so many other people just because of this whole Chen Outer nonsense. Just do what you want. And one last part to close off this. Hypergryph will address this. Now, from what I read from a CN forum post that I saw recently, there were a few CN content creators back in China that managed to attend a particular fan meeting event. And at that point in time, they spoke to several staff as to whether they can visit their office. So the staff of Hypergryph actually allowed them in, and they asked several questions about how they feel about the game. A very important question that they asked about was whether Hypergryph was going to do anything to the Chen Outer situation. And it was interesting because there were certain staff that they met that stated that eventually they will want to publicly address what they feel towards it and what they will do about it. So they know that this went wrong. They know a lot of people were unhappy, and they are getting ready to produce something that's even bigger, greater, and better for us. So until that happens, we just wait it out. We see what Hypergryph wants to do for us, and appreciate the fact that they're looking out for the players. Okay, final home run stretch of the video. The last part that we will have to talk about is how to improve limited banners. Let's get a conceptual understanding first. There are three parties that I want to put here that are involved in this whole discussion of what is the best for limited banners. It will be the free-to-play, the pay-to-play, and the company, Hypergryph themselves. These three parties each have their own satisfaction level. Satisfaction level being satisfying our own needs and our own wants. That also means that, for example, for Hypergryph, what are their needs and wants? They need more players, they need more money. Then what about the pay-to-play players? They need to feel that the money that they're paying for the game is worth the payment. They need to feel happy while playing the game. And free-to-play, same idea. They need to feel happy while, rudely speaking, not paying any money in the game. So these are like the various satisfaction level that goes on. Let's assume that everyone's satisfaction level is at the same bar. And then afterwards, I'm going to draw a line at the bottom and a line at the top. The line at the bottom is a danger satisfaction zone. The idea is this. If at any one point, a party's satisfaction level drops below the line, it means that the game is facing a huge problem. Because, for example, if you talk about the Chen Outer situation, it can be a situation where, okay, the company did a limited banner, so their satisfaction level went up. And then for the other players, whether pay-to-play or free-to-play, their satisfaction went down, and it went down to the critical zone to cause that huge riot that occurred. What I'm trying to put here is that if at any one point the bar falls below there, it needs to be quickly managed because this can jeopardize a game very badly. The worst case is when the company satisfaction level goes below the line because it means that they're not earning enough to keep up with the game, and this can bring about the downfall of the game. So let's just assume that we're at good levels now, in the middle, alright? Nowhere in the critical. Now what about the bar at the top? The bar at the top is the aspired satisfaction level because we don't like to stay still. If we can be better, happier than what we already are, that will be amazing. And now the challenge is, can we make these bars, not just one of them go up? So it's not just making the free-to-play happy and exceeding that top line that I put. Can we do it such that all three parties, the company, the pay-to-play, the free-to-play, all gain increased happiness, increased enjoyment in the game that we're all involved in, and that bring about the best game that you can ever experience. Now, this is talking in respect to the limited banner. So let me put an example here. When in the previous video, we talked about the 120 spark system that R6S has. And then people are saying, let's put this system on everything. Do it such that every single banner has this 120 system, so that if you don't get the operator on banner, like 119 pulls, you don't get like a W, for example. Then 120th pull, you get a W. If we put this measure in this case, what this does is that for the free-to-play and the pay-to-play, our satisfaction level, it goes up, right? it can go up tremendously because it's applied everywhere. And pay to play can save more money, free to play don't have to spend money. They can easily get the limited operators they want. But what happens to the company? The company's level will go down because we are really crashing their earnings if that system is applied everywhere. So this comes to a problem of if they apply it every time permanently, it's gonna really cause that company earnings to just dip very heavily. And we don't know if it'll go under the bar. That goes to say that it's questionable whether this is a viable solution. To me, it's fine if they do 120 Spark system, just specifically on all the future coming collaboration events. But time will tell. We don't know if we'll ever see the system back again. So that's just an example to show you guys this bar kind of system. I apparently lost the footage of everything that came right after this, so I'm now recording this in a different time of the day and then bringing you guys things that I had to talk about. Now we're gonna cover on the ways that I feel that they can be improving on the limited banners. There's quite a few stuff that I thought of myself and also read from some of you, whether in online forums or online conversations. So we're gonna use the concept of the bars here to help us in weighing the decisions to see whether these are the things that can help all the parties overall. So a first measure that I feel that Hypergryph could be doing is to carry forward the spark from a previous limited banner down to the next limited banner. It's something that they specifically avoided to do at the start, where it's clear cut they didn't want to do this measure. Right now, if you were to pull in limited banners, you do get all of these sort of spark tokens, but at the end of the limited banner, they're converted to hit hunting parametric models instead, which can use those to purchase materials if you want to. Well, some people don't exactly want to trade these for materials, they would rather that these sort of sparks can be saved in their account and it can be carried forward to the next banner. But for Hypergryph to not do this at the start, it's clear cut that the prevention of having this carry forward is so that they can get more people to be doing more pulls and hopefully do some spending within the game. But considering how we're talking about ways to improve right now, this can be a measure that I feel that can help more players to be happy about the state of the game. But at the same time, this is gonna lower down the bar of the Hypergryph satisfaction level because definitely they will be earning less revenue with such a measure in place. If they were to implement this in the game, it will become a permanent feature, an irreversible decision that they have to consider for themselves whether this is good for both the players and themselves. So while this is an idea that I think they can pursue, I don't foresee this occurring because it doesn't benefit the company greatly. Another way that people have mentioned is lowering the spark count, which lowering the spark count is going to produce the same effect. Players are going to be happy for the fact that they can spend less pools in order to get the limited characters that they want. But this is also going to impact on the revenue that Hypergryph will be earning. So it comes down to the point of if they were to lower it down now, they're going to have to stick to whatever number that they choose because it's much easier to pull down the spark counter than to raise it back up. It's kind of like if you were to sell an item in the market. It's easier to make it cheaper and convince more people to buy. But if you were to suddenly spike up the price of your item, people are going to look at you and ask you, why in the world are you pushing up the prices right now? This is unnecessary on us and we're going to not want to spend on this item. So lowering spark count, Hypergryph is the one that has to weigh whether they can truly do it or not. Now measures from here on are going to be things that I don't think a lot of people exactly consider about. For one, what Hypergryph could do is to make limited operators unexclusive after an extended duration of time. So for example, if an operator has been released for 2 years, has been released for 3 years, they can drop the limitedness of that operator and make it such that these operators are obtainable in standard banners. Now, if they were to make such a move, for sure, the number one group of people that would surely be the happiest are the free-to-play. Pay-to-play kind of can be happy, but I can imagine pay-to-play not exactly getting more excited than they are, because to them, some of them could have spent a lot of money to get the limited operators that they want. So to suddenly hear that this limited operator is no longer as exclusive or special as it intended to be, these people are going to feel like they're cheated because they work so hard to get these operators only for it to be like dialed down. It's not going to be as special seeming as it is. To me, it seems a little selfish if people think that way, that they don't want everyone to own an operator that they have, but it will come down to a point where if a limited operator exists for a long period of time, a lot of players in the game are kind of expected to own them, and therefore I don't see why not just open the floodgates so that it expands the measures for everyone to actually be able to get these operators. Especially for new players that join the game, they're going to be very excited about such a change. Now, is this change going to help Hypergryph in terms of the amount of spending? I wouldn't say it's going to improve, neither do I think it's going to deprove, like get worse. Because to me, this is kind of like a balanced measure. If people see Hypergryph caring about their players and they love the fact that Hypergryph is expanding that opportunity for people to get limited operators, they could get more convinced to say, wow, the company is making great moves, so I want to pay more money in the game. But then of course this can make people spend less in the game since they see that every operator is easily obtainable. So give and take, it might not improve the feelings of the pay-to-play, might not improve the feelings of Hypergryph, but surely it will improve the feelings of free-to-play, and I'll add the extra party of new players as well for the fact that they can get limited operators much more easily. Now another consideration that they could make is to create a limited operator only banner. And this is going to be quite a wow move. If for instance they have like 4 limited operators that will appear in the rerun store already, they could combine all of them into one, make like a joint operation banner, and release them all in one go. Now to me, this kind of measure will get a lot of people very happy at the start. Free to play, they're gonna scream and cheer for the fact that they can get a limited operator easily. Like, it is definitely guaranteed that one of the 6 stars that they'll get is a limited operator. So they wouldn't feel like they're losing out, and they might not even mind obtaining extra copies. To pay to play, this could be the chance for them to get as many potentials as they want, since the only operators that they can get are the limited operators. And for Hypergryph, if they were to make such a banner happen, it's gonna spike up their revenue by a lot. I can imagine many people want to spend by seeing the number of limited operators they can get all at once. But this measure could be a temporary one. What I mean is that this has the potential to raise the satisfaction level of all 3 parties involved. Everyone is going to be damn happy. Hypergryph is going to earn a lot because of this banner. Everyone is going to be happy that they can obtain things that they've missed before. But this is going to be temporary in a way where now when people see such a banner exist, they feel like hoarding their resources more. So it's going to work out in the first time that Hypergryph ever do this. But the more they do this in the future, the more people are just going to be like, oh, I might as well just save up my Orundums, wait till this limited mana drop, and then pour in everything there. So in the end, the satisfaction is going to drop on Hypergryph's side, it's going to drop on the player's side as well, because it's no surprise anymore. People are just going to expect these things to happen. So I'm not very certain how to exactly weigh if this is a good measure to take or not. Now the next one is something that I feel that they can definitely do into the game, which is to make a limited operator selector pack. Now with such a selector pack, it allows people to get the limited operators that they want easily. Maybe this limited selector pack can sell things like Mien, W, Rosmontis in one pack, and then people can choose a limited operator of their choice. If Hypergryph wants to do something like that, most certainly they can sell the pack at a much higher price than the current 6-star selector. I think people are gonna accept that because they understand limited operators are hard to get in the first place. If right now a 6-star selector pack costs about 25 USD, I think it's 25, or if not it's 29, I think it's 25. If they were to do a limited selector pack, then they could sell it at like 50 USD. They could sell it at 60, 70 USD. However that it is, to really make up for the value of these exclusive operators. I feel like if they were to do such a thing, these things will sell like hotcakes. A lot of people will want to obtain this pack specifically, and this basically helps everyone. Hypergryph is going to earn much more because of such a decision. The pay-to-play players are definitely going to be elated about this measure. They're going to pay more money into the game, they're going to feel more satisfied, because Selector Pack essentially allows you to have a 100% chance of getting operators that you want. This move could even convince free-to-play to say, you know what, I really want a limited operator, so I don't mind spending the money right now just to get these operators that I want, instead of like playing this gacha chance of a game and never guaranteeing if I'll get the operator that I want. So this is a very viable move that I feel Hypergryph could take maybe in the 3rd anniversary of their game. I hope to see it happen. This is really one of the measures that I find that it will raise everyone's bar. It's gonna stay that way. It's a very, very formidable move. And a final consideration that they could make is to create like a 1,000 pools reward, maybe 2,000 pools reward. Of all the medals that we got right now, we have medals for things like recruitment, number of operators that we have hired before, but we don't have things that reward us for the number of pulls that were done. If they could do a nice gesture of giving us, say, more hit hunting for every 1,000 pulls, every 2,000 pulls, maybe at 5,000 pulls, 10,000 pulls, there's a luxurious limited operator selector ticket, for all I know. And if they were to release something like that, it will make people feel very good about their progress in the game. The fact that they put a lot in the game, they dedicated so much, and they're getting equivalent rewards for the efforts that they've put in. So this is an interesting move that I find that Hypergryph could be taking in time to come. But we shall see whether they take these sort of suggestions that comes from me and other people as well. Now, these are all the moves that I feel that they could be taking, and now it comes down to yourself. What do you think they could do to improve the system? And like I said, you must consider that whatever that you propose don't only benefit yourself as a person, it also needs to benefit Hypergryph in a way that they can earn better income for themselves, for the sake of their company, for the sake of their staff. This is not an easy move to consider at all when you try to put every party in respect. Now, with all the suggested methods laid down in front of you guys, it's time for me to give a closing to the entire limited banner series. An important lesson to note after this entire period of time. Limited banners are here to stay. They are pretty much the way of life right now. They are one of the biggest ways to bring about great activity within the game, and they are also the biggest source of income for Hypergryph's side. They will continue to do this so that they can feed themselves, so that they can fund their own projects, all the major things that they want to provide for players. With that understanding, limited banners will basically be something that we have to cope with. We have to withstand the fact that these things are here to stay. Rather than hating it, we gotta hate it until we love it. This is something that we must learn to accept and embrace within Arknights. But while that is the copium, basically a way of saying that's the thing that we must cope with from here on, the hopium is that things will change. Eventually, Hypergryph has to do something about limited banners. Right now, we have a total of 8 limited operators within the game, including Chen Outer, including Nearl Outer. And over time, Chinese New Year is going to bring us another limited operator in the CN side. Anniversary is going to bring us another limited operator. And by then, that will make a full total of 10 operators that's within the game. 10 limited operators is very intimidating for new players, even for people who haven't obtained as many of the limited operators. And we don't even have to talk about limited operators only. There's gonna be more than 200 operators in the game, soon for global. And this makes it such that collecting in the game is gonna be so much harder. If there can be systems to better guarantee people's chances of getting the operators they want, this is gonna tremendously improve the player experience. And I think Hypergryph knows that. Hypergryph understands that with the Pokédex just increasing by so much, this is gonna overwhelm a lot of new people who's trying to enter the game. A lot of people who's just trying to keep up with the pace of the game. So, the hopium here is that Hypergryph will do something. They have to change something about the way we're getting operators right now. And I'm hopeful, because I know Hypergryph is gonna address this very soon. It could be during the Chinese New Year event over on the CN side. Or if not, it's gonna be during the anniversary. I'm very certain that they care a lot for the players, and they are working their ass off to figure out what is the best balance for everyone in the game. So that is that I'll have to close off in the limited series, and I really hope that you guys enjoy watching all of my videos. This has been a journey for me. It's been a long time to make these videos. Thank you for watching. I'm gonna cry. Okay, that's that for today. If not, I'll see you in next video. Bye bye.